going on, guys?
Not much.
Not much. It's been a challenge to everybody to get together for a whole episode. Our usual 2 recordings, basically, but yeah.
Yeah.
But we're here for that today.
Last week, I had strep throat.
Last week you had strep throat, yep. How was that, by the way?
I didn't have strep throat.
But I thought you got the test.
No, they didn't give me a test. They said I caught it. So the place I went to is called MedPoint, and I only went there because it was the closest one to this job that I just left.
Sure.
So I left work, went there, and he's like, "When did it happen?" I said, "Tonight." Like, it felt like there was something stuck in my throat. Like, I didn't know if it was like a hair or whatever. So I went into the restroom and looked in the mirror, and there's like back here, there's like a little white dot above my tonsil. And I thought it was a blister. And he's like, "Oh, let me see." And then we went over the whole COVID procedure and asking me all the symptoms that I didn't have. And
shoving a swab up your nose.
They didn't actually do that because I didn't have a temperature and I didn't have any of the other symptoms. So, aside from the sore throat. And he's like, "Well, it looks like strep." He goes, "You've caught it so early that I can swab you, but it probably won't register it so soon." And I said, "Okay." He goes, "But if you were my son, I'd tell you to start an antibiotic tonight because it's definitely strep." I said, "Okay." Started antibiotic. Never went away. Like, still, like it sore throat. It doesn't hurt. It's just like a mild inconvenience, you know.
Sometimes just get white junk on them. Sometimes they just do for unrelated reasons.
Well, and I went to MedExpress today, and like they did the strep test. That took like 30 or 40 minutes. She came back. She's like, "Sorry, I kept you so long. Your rapid test came back negative. You can still have it, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "Tell me what happened." I just kind of relayed all that to her. And she's like, "Okay, let me take a look." And she looked and she put the wood thing down and pushed my tongue down, looked, and she goes, "And did it, what's it feel like?" And I told her, and she goes, "I've got an idea." And she grabbed a Q-tip and she's like, "I'm going to press on it." And I said, "Okay."
Yep.
And she pushed on it and she's like, "It's pretty solid. It's not a blister." She said, "It's like a tonsil stone, like a kidney stone."
Yep, it's a thing. Yeah, I've had those before.
And
they're real fun when they fall off on their own and you can spit them out. They're disgusting.
She said, she asked how old I was, and I told her, and she's like, "Well, at 35, and this is the first time you've ever had one, you're unlikely to get more of them." And I said, "Well, that's good." And she said, "It can go away on its own." She gave me prednisone, like a steroid, to take for 5 days, and she says, if it goes away, stop taking it. It doesn't matter. But essentially, she goes, "I mean, I've got people that come in and they asked for me to put in requests to get their tonsils out. Your tonsils look perfectly fine." She goes, "These people, they'll take Q-tips and go back there and they'll burst the things." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Maybe I'll do that." I don't know. I told my wife and she freaked out. So that's what it was.
I've had one of those. Yeah, they're scary because you don't know what the fuck it is. But yeah.
Oh yeah, and it just looked like a blister. I'm gonna move this light. I can still hear you.
Sure. I'm just curious if we're going to keep this in or if it's going to edit at this point.
Why?
And glitch away.
Is it still doing it?
No, I'm just curious because you just walked away in the middle of the shot, so I'm just like...
No, I'll just move this light back further.
Yeah.
It's
still
fine.
doing it? Okay.
No, I haven't seen it glitch yet, so...
Good.
Yeah.
If anyone's wondering, it's because the chat was flickering before we started recording.
So I am wearing these because I could be wearing my hard contacts that I'm testing, but I didn't want to feel like there was something literally sitting in the middle of my goddamn eye for the next 2 hours while we record this.
Yeah.
Because that is what it feels like when it's a hard contact lens. It just feels like it's a giant piece of glass sitting on your eye. And
that's what it is, isn't it?
Yes, except it's supposed to reach a point eventually where it doesn't feel like that. Plus, there was the fun of the fact that if you're not careful, it can move because it doesn't. A regular contact, when you put it in, it slides into place on its own. The hard contact is supposed to stay where you put it. So you're supposed to put it directly over your pupil. Well, if you like move your hand and like pull your eyelid, you can shift where it is in your eye by accident when you blink. So a couple of days ago, it had shifted from my eye to like right here, like, and probably if it had gone any further, it might have gone around behind my eye where I couldn't have gotten to it. And I would have had a fun visit to the emergency room, but I was still able to get it with the plunger they give you to get them out easier. And yeah,
I think I'd quit wearing those.
That's why I don't wear contacts.
yeah, I wouldn't, but because of what I have to have. It's going to be something that makes me not have to wear glasses that are that thick. So
Yeah. Well, I'm still using my phone for these fun shows because
Are you
my
really? I
computer.
couldn't tell.
Yeah, yeah. My computer, whatever you call it inside it, that connects to the Wi-Fi now. So
router,
yeah,
modem,
inside the actual computer part, the internet's fine. But yeah, so I'm on my phone now until I get my new laptop eventually.
from the president.
No, actually, it's coming from, and I don't know if I should say these things, but I got a friend that works somewhere.
Then don't.
I mean, I ain't saying no names. I ain't saying no names. Nobody knows what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about. I got a friend that works at a casino somewhere, and they tossed all their old Sony laptops. We're gonna throw them in the trash. He rescued them, and they give him the okay to have them. So I'm probably get one of those. From what I hear, they're pretty decent laptops.
Well, let's hope so.
Yep.
Yeah, let's hope so. I look better on this. I look better on my phone than most y'all do when y'all can. 4K. Yep.
No comment.
It's only $720. Sorry.
$20 Dollar General headset too, by the way.
Free.
Hey, can't be free.
Free because GameStop needs to bribe its managers to stay there.
Which movie are we doing first tonight?
After Midnight.
Oh, well, I better put this down. That's the wrong movie then.
Yeah, we got to go in order, remember? So we're doing this first because the next ones all go in an order of 3. But
oh yeah, yes, that would make sense. Yes.
Yes.
So it's the crew from the Battery who prove that they can still do pretty good stuff with little to work with.
About money, right?
I believe
little
so.
Money, right? Yeah, as I say. Go ahead.
So now, Chuck, you put this on your best of 2020, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, so I got a question.
Yes.
So I am getting mixed answers here. I'm told this movie came out in 2019. I'm told it came out in 2020. And I'm also told it's 2021.
Well, ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah, earthquake. Now, I was under the impression it was made in 2019, but not released in 2020.
Most likely that would be your answer.
And the only release in America up to this point is the burned off Blu-ray, although Australia got it last year on a pressed DVD. So
we're calling this a 2020 film then.
We should. I mean, if it's getting another release this year that's not burnt, then maybe you could even count it as this year. I mean, because wide releases, it probably still doesn't have technically a wide release, does it? I mean, it's on Shudder. So it comes in Shudder what, this year?
Well, Shudder's calling it a 2021 film.
Well,
IMDb is 2019. And I read one other place 2020, and then of course you put it on your top 10 of 2020.
Yeah, well, any version of it that was available on disc came out last year. So if anybody's seen it in 2019, it must have been when they had festivals back in the old days.
Oh, they still do. I mean, they're getting ready to do their virtual festivals now. But anyway.
So yeah, After Midnight. This was directed by Jeremy Gardner and Christina Stella.
And stars Jeremy Gardner. And written by Jeremy Gardner.
Which is pretty common for him.
Oh, yeah.
But also stars the guy that made The Resolution. Is it called The Resolution? Is that what it was called?
I think it's just called Resolution. I'm not sure.
Resolution.
Justin Benson?
Yes.
Yep.
Very interesting.
He also made Spring, as well.
Which is really good.
I always forget he made Spring. You know, he made Timeless. Was it Timeless or Limitless? What was it called? Timeless.
I think I have the Endless. Was what it
The
was
Endless.
There it is. There it is. And he's got a new movie that just came out that I've got.
Can we talk about real quick before we get in this movie? And this is a great movie, and I don't want to like off track because this is what we always this is what we always fucking do on this show. The
it's
Endless,
real, damn it! It's real to us, damn it! No.
The Endless fucking blew my mind when it became tied in with Resolution.
Yes.
Like,
I was very shocked myself.
I'm like, man, this because the whole movie, I'm telling Morgan, I'm like, this looks familiar. Like I know this, like something else was shot here. Like I know I've seen something else that was shot on like this set or this field. And she's like, yeah, you always do this. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm like, whatever. And then it happened, and I paused it, and I was like, ha, you bitch. That's freaking Resolution. I was like, those are the people. Those are the cult people. It's all tied together, and that's why there's. I'm not going to give it away, but I was like, ah, and I loved it.
I was extremely surprised when I found out that it was tied in with that because it looked familiar at the start because I think they showed like a picture of them as the Cult in Resolution, I believe, which I'd forgot all about. You know,
but it just makes Resolution makes so much more sense.
Well, if that was like a long-term goal, or if he just like, I want to go back and make the movie make more sense.
I don't know.
Either way, it works.
Because I always took Resolution as like that thing at the end was like the audience, you know, and they were kind of like, do we need to do it again?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you know, it's good stuff. I don't own Resolution. I need to own it. I've seen it. I love it, but
you guys take the lead on that because I haven't seen any. I know the names of a lot of other stuff. I've heard of a million of his other things because if you had to probably pick the definitive of the last 5 to 10 years indie filmmaker who's making stuff that generally gets high quality critical praise, but that no one knows his name, you'd probably go with there. At least in your top 5.
What's
I'm totally game with doing those like a double feature on the show. I think Eli and I reviewed Resolution like back when it came out.
If we can find ways to do it, sure.
Well, let me explain this. What's that website that we sometimes get the old overstocked Screen Factory stuff from?
Hamilton Books.
Hamilton Books. They did have the Blu-ray Resolution super cheap.
I've got it somewhere, but it was on Netflix.
That's where I seen it.
Probably still is because I don't think Netflix would lose something like that. Not that it's anything other than just they wouldn't think about it. So they
typically don't purge or anything like those indie movies. So
yes, I mean, yeah.
But for some reason, I still have Netflix.
Made better. Well, Netflix has something every now and then. Every once in a while.
They have a historical documentary about Japanese history right now, but that's not here nor there. It's bloody as shit and got lots of samurai in it. But anyway.
So the old boy here that made this movie and made the Battery. What was the movie they made in between? Didn't they make a movie in between?
They did.
It was something about something will survive or something like that. I never did watch that one. Like I seen like a preview for it and I never did like it. Or I never did think I'd like it. But it
was called Tex Montana Will Survive.
Yeah, I seen like teasers for them doing a campaign for that years ago, and it just didn't seem like anything I really wanted to see. But
and it was him and that Adam. I can't think of what his name was, but they both starred in it. The kid from Resolution.
Yeah.
Not Resolution. I'm sorry. Battery.
Mm-hmm. So this is like the first thing they've made that really caught my eye since the original, thing they did, Battery.
The Endless, for the record, is on Netflix. Not seeing Resolution.
Hey, well, they may take it off. It's got to be on. It's probably on Tubi or somewhere.
Oh, sure.
But Battery was a movie that when the Battery came out, that was a movie that got a lot of praise when it first came out. Now you don't hardly hear anybody ever talk about it.
Battery got a Scream Factory release.
Mm-hmm. It did.
As it says, that's
Resolution is streaming on Prime.
Of course it is.
Anyway.
Moving on.
After midnight.
Very small cast. Who's the Bree Grant? Ain't that the chick that's in this?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure she's done a bunch of other stuff too, actually.
She's done tons of indie stuff. Like when I first started doing any of this stuff, I always heard like bloggers that had any connection at all to indie movies were always talking about her like she was their best friend. So apparently she's pretty popular in the circles. But this was probably the first thing she's done that I remember actually liking her in, though.
Resolution's also on Tubi, by the way.
Aha.
Very nice.
Let's see, real quick, running through. Well, right now, Arrow, I think, is pushing the hell out of the fact that she's in this movie coming out this year called The Stylist.
Okay.
She's also in a movie that just got added to Shudder called Lucky.
I think I have a digital screener of Stylus on my email.
And then, like I said, Lucky just got added to Shudder, and that's also something she's in.
Yeah. Well, she's been around for a while, and she's done quite a bit of indie stuff, from shoestring stuff, I think, to a little bit bigger budgets. But
Creature Stirring, Beyond the Gates, Holidays.
Creature was Stirring was made by the girl that does the Shockwaves podcast, OW's old buddy, Rebecca. Which I did not like. I did not like that movie.
I don't know anybody that liked it. I've not watched it, but I do like Becca.
She was Maya Rockwell in Halloween 2 remake. Come on now. No, anyway.
So our lead male here, which played by the director of the film, is down in the dumps because his old lady has left him. So he's succumbed to a life of alcohol and sitting up late and swearing to everybody around that a monster is coming to his house after midnight every night. And who knows? The jury's out as you watch the movie on if it's true or if it ain't true. As you mentioned in a previous version of this here, Newsfinder, the town folks swear he might be crazy.
Might be crazy, might be drunk, might be drugged up, might be watching a black bear.
Yes. And I mean, it's whatever it is, it's got him so spooked that he will literally blow a hole through his front door with a shotgun. But
and he took a shot at a truck that was driving by.
He did.
Barred the door with a sofa and just sat there on the sofa the whole night.
So as this movie's unfolding, we're watching him, basically spiral out of control in present time while having flashbacks to the better times when him and his girlfriend are. Is it just his girlfriend? It's just his girlfriend.
It's his girlfriend. It's his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know about. It's kind of out of control. It's weird. Like the movie kind of switches between like he kind of starts to kind of pick himself up. Valentine the deer kind of being a good example of that. And then like the night will come and the monster will attack again and it'll send him right back down again, basically.
Yeah.
So this movie, it starts out in a straight flashback. Like it doesn't start out in present time. And once it cuts to present time, you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
But I kind of love the way that they executed it. I mean, and I get that things, all sorts of films do flashback, flash forward in it, but this one's starting out the way that it does, and just kind of giving us the story and building the characters with said flashback, and not giving us any context at all once it flashes forward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I kind of loved it.
It's also well done. I'm not going to get into detail or anything. I'm just going to say, because a large part of this movie is about perspective and the person whose viewpoint you're looking at. So also the person whose memory you're looking at. And it kind of really helps the movie the further it goes along, that fact, because it kind of makes certain things hit harder later on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But his old lady leaves him for a month.
Just leaves a note that basically just says she's just going to go away, and she
said she'd be back soon.
Yeah, that's it.
And he left the note up. He's calling her, leaving her voicemails, and it goes straight to voicemail. And he's like, "Look, the bills are piling up. You're the one who takes care of this shit." It's like, I don't even know how to pay the fucking bills. It's like, we've got a company to run, yada yada. Then he's like, "Oh yeah, and your fucking cat's missing, and I think it's dead."
Yeah, they run a bar, for the record. We didn't mention that. He and his girlfriend.
I think the most far-fetched thing is that cat can stay alive so long out there on its own.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But like
Um,
the fun of this one is just trying to wait and see when the other shoe's going to drop and find out if we're really dealing with a monster or what exactly is going on. And when it finally reveals itself, I think it does it in a very very uh, fun way.
Oh, it tricked me. I did not expect the shoe to drop in terms of answering that question the way it did, because I was like, well, this movie's getting to this particular point, so I don't know what's
Now
gonna. Oh
this
shit!
thing
Okay,
turned
that makes
this,
sense.
this thing turned into an episode of the Twilight Zone by the last act.
for sure, and it was awesome. I was like the kids were asleep, and I'm sitting down on the couch in the dark watching it, and Morgan was in the bedroom with the door shut working on grad work, and I was like, "Oh shit, look at that thing!" And she kind of came out, and she's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "It's fucking awesome. You're missing out."
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, like the way it ends up, the way it starts and the way it ends up almost feels like two separate things because it gets to like a weird vibe, at the end of the movie. I ain't gonna. It's hard to talk about it without saying exactly what happens,
Yeah, we're gonna
but
we're gonna leave it at that on that one. Yeah.
things look to be finally settling in. We'll say that, and then it just gets completely weird. But everybody plays their parts well. The sheriff, which is played by the guy that directed the resolution,
Justin
like we
Benson, and
talked.
that is his girlfriend's brother.
Yeah, yeah. So he's around. I think he's a good character. And of course, there's other characters too, but that's like the main one. And the movie does get bloody at times, which is nice.
And the supporting cast is really good, especially Justin Benson's character, because he comes over and he's like, Hank, man, what's going on? He's like, something tried to get in the house, and he's got scratches all over his door. There's a giant 12 gauge hole blown through it, and he's like, it's probably a black bear. And he's arguing. He's like, I know what a fucking black bear is. I know what a black bear does, and a black bear doesn't do this, and you know that. You drunk? And he's like, yeah. So, and then he comes over to his house with a bear trap, and he's like, you still think it's a fucking bear? And he's like, come inside, and they eat breakfast together, and
Start talking about aliens.
yeah. And his character is really good because of course, he's a cop, and he's got to make sense of things, but he does it really well. And then he's like, he tells him, and he's like emotionally working with him, and he's like, now fucking get it together and sober up.
The budget for this movie could have been too big outside of money towards obvious effects that's in the movie.
Yes.
But it, like I said,
and money. I feel like there had to have been some degree of money that was given to Lisa Loeb.
Yeah, probably. That's half the budget.
Well,
right
or
there.
or whatever studio owns the rights to that music.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I can't imagine that came cheap, to be honest with you.
No, that's what I was like. When the minute that happened, I was like, "Holy shit, really?"
Because
That's credited in the credits. That's
And
not
the
actually in the
whole, it's
credits.
the whole fucking thing. It was awesome.
yeah, but like these guys have been good, like I said, since the battery at doing a lot with a little.
Absolutely.
And which I haven't seen the Tex Arcana or whatever his name is, Will Survive or whatever, but this right here and the battery together, that's a good example of what you can do if you're just creative.
Well, and
And
all of their films have very small casts. I mean, the Battery's got a shitload of people with zombies, and then there's a lot of bystanders in the Spring. But between the two of those guys, they're real small. I mean, The Endless had a fairly large cast, I guess.
yeah, the Endless probably one. Well, Spring, I say Spring probably had pretty good budget to it, but
Yeah. Well, and there's some great special effects in that too.
I remember really liking Spring a lot to the point that it shocked me when I found out it was the same director as Resolution. I didn't even know it was the same guy. But apparently, all these dudes run together. They're friends, I suppose, since they're all in each other's stuff. But that's definitely a group of people need to watch if they haven't been watching them.
Sure. We were having a discussion in the group chat of the show recently about the fact they're getting ready to do another reboot of Silent Night, and I brought up the fact that I don't hate the concept of doing reboots, but what bugs me is that that's what gets the headline. That's what gets the coverage. That's what gets the publicity. And here you have, for example, these guys who basically every time they make a movie, general consensus among critics and fans is it's good. Better than stuff that costs 3 times the cost. But no, we're going to talk about the remake and the this and the that, and take a chance, people.
Yeah,
agreed.
you probably heard more about the sequel to Face Off coming out than you probably have this movie.
At least they'll be able to do it with good CGI. I haven't heard of that until now, but yeah.
That's the same dude it's doing Godzilla versus Kong. He's directing Face Off 2.
Adam Wingard.
Yeah, but there's a whole other show subject right there. From that guy going from homesick to
You're next.
Kong. Yeah, it's just I don't know how he did it.
Well, how he did it was he made that movie Monsters.
Is that the one I'm thinking of where the people were traveling through the wilderness and it's
so like Monsters are well known, but they're not necessarily in America. Like Mexico, I believe, is overrun, and they're enormous.
I didn't like it that much personally,
but here's the thing:
I've never seen
it was executed well.
Yes, it's got a good
execution. And they're like, "Hey, we need to make a giant fucking monster movie, and it's going to have a killer budget, but we need somebody that can make a real good monster movie because everybody fucking hated Cloverfield."
I love Cloverfield.
I love it. It's a goddamn great movie. But it's like, oh hey, this guy made it with like next to no budget, and we're gonna fucking dwarf it to make Godzilla. I bet he can do it. And goddamn it, he did. And he did it awesome.
It's just so weird though when you go back and you pop out your Synapse DVD at Homesick and you see this guy ranting and raving like a madman in the extras, and yet now he's on like television doing interviews for Kong versus Godzilla, seeming very level-headed and civilized.
And then you got fucking Romeo and Juliet to Guardians of the Galaxy. So
Galaxy, Suicide Squad.
But James Gunn still seems like the same guy though.
He definitely
is. He made a big jump in production.
He's the same guy, but he's evolved.
But now Adam Wingard don't even seem like the same person. Okay. Like I don't even remember what he's ranting
about. Maybe they
won't
let him be.
I don't even remember what he's ranting about in the extras on Homesick, but I remember watching Homesick and was like, what is he even talking about?
It was an interesting movie. It was Bill Moseley, right?
Yeah, I went back to revisit that movie a few months ago, and I actually enjoyed it.
Getting back to After Midnight.
Also, After Midnight, one of the guys in this, it's like his best friend, Wade, this Henry Zabrowski. This is the guy that married Natalie Jean from Crossbear and The Cemetery.
Really? All of the Exorcast references.
Yes, is this the guy that drunk the thing full of different alcohol in the?
Yeah, what do they call that?
Suicide.
I call it getting sick very easily, probably, but
there's a name for it.
Like, I've heard it called suicide,
but regardless, yeah, that's him.
It's whatever spilled into the mat gets put into a glass and you drink.
Yeah.
He did it in this movie, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what that was a reference for it. Yeah.
He made a show for Adult Swim called "Your Pretty Little Face Is Going to Hell."
Yeah, I remember that.
He like created it and starred in it. I'd seen like bits and pieces of it, and I only watched it because I knew like Natalie had just married this dude. But apparently he was also credited for writing contributing to Wolf of Wall Street.
Wow. That's quite a coup for him.
Kind of, I mean, I wasn't expecting that, but.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people that made the jump from no budget to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think Wolf of Wall Street was better part of 10 years ago now.
It was, obviously, as we keep dragging out the old references and we get off track here, I want to ask what happened to the director of Crossbear. Where is he now?
Adam's in Philly. He was working on another movie, and he was helping one of his friends finish up his film.
And the last time I'd ever heard of him was he was in that movie about the haunted house of your real documentary. Or he just so happened to be the camera guy that goes crazy during the filming of the documentary?
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah. What everybody says. That's what everybody says when they talk about that. I can't talk about that.
He's not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
Legally contracted, I do believe.
Yeah. That's better than wrestling. They keep the kayfabe strong in that, don't they?
Hey, it ain't the old days where you have to bring all your Italian actors into court to make sure they're still alive after you kill them all cannibals in the movie. So,
yeah.
All I'm saying is a lot of that timeline doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. That's a different subject for a different day. But back
after midnight, I mean, the whole story, like, this is not the movie that I was anticipating it being. This is legitimately a romantic comedy
yes,
horror film. This, if this was filmed in the 80s, it would star John Cusak, or the early 90s, it would star John Cusak, and he'd be fucking mourning the breakup, talking about records, and then a monster's trying to break into his house.
absolutely.
Yes. And one reason it really works is because our lead actor is obviously channeling something. Either he's just a really good actor, or he this was a personal matter to him in some way.
It probably was. He wrote it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's probably definitely channeling stuff he's experienced in his life. I mean,
yeah, it works.
Like, he and that Bria Grant, they worked so fucking well together. Every single scene, like, just like her talking about like being in college and learning about wine, and then he makes fun of her, how you have to smell the wine and all that. It worked perfectly. It was one of the most believable relationships I've seen on screen in a long, long time.
I wonder if parts of this movie was actually scripted or just a ad lib, because there's a scene where they're sitting out on the front porch that just goes on and on for a long time, and it doesn't drag or nothing, but it's a very long scene, and it's one take. It don't cut. You know what I'm talking about? Like they're just sitting out there talking.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just wonder if that was really scripted or if they just kind of like had points and just kind of hit the points, because that's very hard to do.
I don't know. I didn't notice that it was. I wasn't paying that much attention, but I didn't realize it was like one long scene.
It is like one very long scene.
But no, that very well could be.
Mm.
That was a good conversation too.
Yeah, like it seemed like a natural one, almost too natural to the point that you wonder if they're just playing off each other on it.
Oh, and it almost brings in like a red herring. As he said, it's happened every single night since you left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believed the red herring for a damn long time, actually.
And I was like, that can't be. Like this can't fucking be. Then like,
obviously. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe, maybe it made sense.
Yeah. That was two things that could have meant when I heard that, and I thought, well, we're either going literal or symbolic.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
But we end up going a whole new route. But yeah, good stuff.
Very good. So after we've bounced back and forth on track and off track, I'm giving it a 4.
Me too, 4.
I mean, I see no reason to go any less than that. And but the only thing that holds me back is maybe there's a couple moments where I felt it dragged a bit, but mostly it's really good, really, really good. Mm-hmm. Definitely its own unique. I can't name a lot of movies that are like this movie.
No.
I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I really, really liked it, and since like it's got an actual release date now, because of, I assume, Shudder. I was looking on IMDb of 2021. I mean, it's the only film on my top 10 so far. Of course.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we're going to count it as a 2021 movie. I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't make mine either.
Well,
it probably
I was ahead of the game,
You were ahead of the game there, Charles.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
You and your free movies.
Yep. Good stuff.
For those curious, it is available for $15 on Amazon right now on Blu-ray.
BDR, and it takes like 6 weeks to get to you.
Yes, but I'm just saying it exists.
Two things about that real quick.
Mhm.
One, I heard that it don't actually take 6 weeks if you order it. It actually comes a lot quicker than that. Two, which I mean, they had to make mine when I got mine. It didn't take long. And two, I've heard Amazon's about to quit doing burn on demand releases altogether.
I have no idea. I do know that according to Amazon, it was released on this Blu-ray in April 14th of 2020, but my theory is that it was being released by the makers. So that's not 100%, wide release basically.
Yeah. No, and then the other release last year was the Australia release. But the thing is like there was that I can't remember who it is. The one that's always posting all the DVD news on Facebook. Everybody always sees it. The whatever
Dawn
it's
of the
called.
Discs.
Yeah, they posted something about Amazon was going to discontinue the burn on demand process in favor of trying to be more strictly digital.
Well,
So,
that's their call if they're going to be that stupid, but yeah.
so I mean, where does this affect stuff like Warner Archive? Because Warner Archive, their older DVDs are burn on demand, but like their new Blu-rays are never they're pressed. But I think I feel like they must press them on demand or something. Is that even possible?
Probably. It doesn't affect Warner Archive because they can usually sell them through their website. It's just
Yeah.
they also sell through Amazon. So I
Well,
mean,
here's
and
the thing.
Amazon
There's
also Warner will keep selling through Amazon because they're Warner. They have the
all
money,
of
they have the
these
clout.
all of these movies are technically made by a place called Movies Out, which is where when I get my review copies of them, that's where they come from. And the same company handles Warner, Universal, and the whole nine yards. So I wonder if this Amazon thing will shut them down, or if they'll just do it on their own. Like you're saying, like Warner will do theirs on theirs and all that stuff. But like all these indie companies go through that same company for their burn on demand title. That's where this came from.
I mean, I
You
don't
know.
know that it
So,
would shut them down. I mean,
mhm.
it's stupid easy to open up your own store.
There is a lot of really shitty bootlegs that are on Amazon of movies that don't have legitimate releases from other companies that people just
Yeah.
throw out on DVDs and stuff. And Amazon isn't necessarily the one making those. So while they might get rid of their own stuff, if
Yeah.
another company's still making it, they'll probably still sell it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they will. Anything to
But,
keep the physical copies alive.
but this movie, everyone can watch on Shudder.
Yes,
Yes. Digital. Or you
digital.
can buy a burned on demand copy, or you can import a DVD from Australia if you want a press copy.
You can get a copy from Australia.
Or if Shudder's smart and RLJE decides to tell them to, they could pick it up. And I don't think that'll happen. I wish. Anyway.
They put out everything else, which your
Yeah, but
favorite
they're not
movie.
really pitching After Midnight as a Shudder exclusive. That's the
Your
thing.
your 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 favorite movie host is at Walmart for $7 on DVD, but they don't
Guilty
carry the Blu-ray. Why would they not carry the Blu-ray?
because they don't care if people buy it.
I
I mean,
mean,
why waste the Blu-ray disc?
Oh,
there is a Blu-ray of it, but Walmart does not carry it. That's what I'm saying.
There's like a special edition Blu-ray that I saw on Diabolic's website.
yeah.
Um, I don't know if
I
it's
figure
like
like
foreign or what, but
yeah,
it had
I
artwork on
figure
it that almost looked like The Ring. Like it looked. I mean,
oh
I'm sure it was a computer screen, but it was black and white, and you could see the girl in front of the white screen.
I kind of assumed that one reason DVD was only $7 was because one, it's DVD, and two, the movie's only 45 minutes long.
I think the first one, I don't think they're smart enough to charge that way for the second one. They'd want the money more than that. Not the makers, I'm saying whoever made the Blu-ray or DVD.
Yeah.
News-wise, I don't got a lot. I technically do, I technically don't. I talked about this before the show. Full Moon's Girl Murdered in a Park is Naked Girl Murdered in the Park should be coming out soonish. It keeps getting pushed back. I'm just going to speak from what I've read. I don't know if it's going to be something that stays available or it gets recalled or anything. People are claiming there's issues with the audio on it. I mean, the movie looks fine. I wouldn't say it looks reference quality or anything. It looks like what you'd expect a full moon Blu-ray of a movie from 1972 to look like. I mean, but they don't have any. I think they said they were getting ready to announce something else, but I don't know what that thing was off the top of my head. Kino announced that through Code Red they're doing Delirium by Lamberto Bava in June, The Strangeness in June, The Being in June, yay Jackie Kong, plus The Love Butcher and a movie called Scream. And then today, Dawn of the Discs had this massive list of stuff that they're getting ready to do, apparently. Just a bunch of random, older, newer, etc. Nothing super huge that I was big on in that list. I mean, and nothing, but it's a lot of stuff coming. They've got a lot of things they picked up, a lot from Code Red or Scorpion, 4K copy of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, it is what it is. Cauldron, as part of a polycarbonate shortage that apparently was affecting them and Vinegar Syndrome. Their releases got held up a little further, but they are expected to release all of the third and fourth movies in mid-March, approximately. So that'll be good. And when Chuck gets a copy of them, maybe we'll review them. The Error 4444, I'm going to go out on a limb here as I record this with you guys on March 4th. Maybe this episode will be up by then. But pre-orders for Anatomia Extinction go live on March 25th. Special edition limited to 1,000. And that special edition is going to include, among other things, excuse me, a new scan and restoration of the original negative, supervised by the director, introduction by Yoshihiro Nishimura, deleted CGI opening sequence, a short film, an audio commentary by Nishimura, a featurette called Anatomy, Extinction, and Tokyo Gore Police, A Shared World Broken Down by Yoshihiro Nishimura, the trailer, English subtitles that he designed, booklet, O-card, slipcover, new sleeve art, new reversible sleeve art, and 2 stickers. It's limited to 1,000 with the O-card, the stickers, etc., which I would take to mean that it's going to be available otherwise after the fact in just a regular version. But that'll be available on March 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow announced their, I don't know if we're on June now, I think, or June, I think, which was a lot of It was a Ghost Waits, Over the Edge, Giants and Toys, and a Blu-ray of 12 Monkeys, which I think is even limited to UK, if I'm not mistaken.
They already put 12 Monkeys out here on Blu-ray. Is that a steelbook?
There's going to be a steelbook as part of it. Yeah. But again, it's one of those Zavvi things. Mondo Macabro has finally finished putting out their releases of Queens of Evil and Blood Ceremony, which I would imagine you'll be getting at some point soon, Chuck.
Maybe.
As they get to the regular editions. But they are getting ready to do Hunting Ground, which is by Jorge Grau. I think. Could have that one wrong. And also Howl of the Devil, which is a Nashi movie. Then they're going to do Laughing Woman, Silip Daughters of Eve, which is a Blu-ray of an old Mondo Macabro title. And another Nashi movie that's very much underseen called Frenchman's Garden. They've then said they're going to do 2 movies that fit the bill of being Spanish, artsy, horror, and exploitation.
Wow. Isn't that what they always do?
Yes, but they went out of their way to basically say that it's all of those things. Their trailer compilation they mentioned they were going to do earlier this year, as well as a short film collection at some point. So, and then also probably the best thing of all of those things I mentioned, at least in terms of what's announced, besides, of the major companies. Vinegar Syndrome announced their March releases, which would be Rush Week, which is a late 80s to early 90s slasher movie. Last Gasp, which is kind of a possession-y slasher movie. Death Promise, which is a 70s martial arts film and is probably the thing that they were most pushing alongside that, and Rush Week were the big ones. A AGFA co-release called Jungle Trap, which also comes with a movie called Run Coyote Run. Those are shot on video jungle type movies. And through a new subsidiary company, a documentary, a live performance by the band Green Jelly called Green Jelly Sucks. Which Sucks Live, yes. Which last I saw was limited to 1,000 to the first place and was already dwindling quickly. So by the time you see this, it'll probably be sold out.
I know. Matt Dance Commander and Dead Rat, I think, pre-ordered that.
Yes, I believe so. In fact, I will check right now as we record this and see if they're even still in stock. Plus, there was also some porn, so you can look into that, W.
I just want that Sex World 4K.
Well, you're too late for that. It's it's been out already. No, just kidding. Green Jelly, as I say this, is it probably will still be available. It's only a quarter out of stock right now. It's at 750 left right now out of 1,000. So, the only other thing I did want to talk about, and I guess talking about it now instead of in the next episode we're about to record, I can wait. We'll talk about it next episode because it relates to what we're going to review next episode, which is their Forgotten Jolly sets. But it's not really news. It's more of just a mild thing about Vinegar Syndrome group members. Anyway.
Well, we forgot the news about the reboot of Jeepers Creepers coming out.
What now?
Yeah,
we're rebooting Jeepers Creepers without Victor Salva.
Well, that's exciting.
I'll take what he said. Yeah, there you go. And exactly that tone. Exactly.
They sell the Creepers figure at Walmart these days, So apparently, think what you will about the idiot, that directed the movies. The character itself seems to be pretty popular.
Well, they only got 3 movies out of it.
Only 3. And they said
I've not even seen the first movie all the way through.
Well, I really do like the first movie, but fuck that guy.
when I was a young lad and I didn't know anything about the director, I enjoyed the Jeepers Creepers movies.
I refused to see the second or third because of that guy. And
I enjoyed Clown House, but I always felt a very weird vibe off of it when you watch it.
I wonder why.
Listen, Clown House is a good fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have to say, it's a good fucking movie.
We'll never see it on Blu-ray.
No, you'll never see it on DVD unless you want to drop a shitload of money and get that copy that Eli has that's like mom and pop shops sold before it could be recalled.
Mm-hmm.
Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to check something because I'm pretty sure I noticed this earlier.
I mean, there may be a bootleg Blu-ray somewhere.
Or you could, just go on to YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube to watch, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So isn't Trick or Treat, by the way.
So isn't Trick or Treat?
Mm-hmm.
Probably because of copyright claiming.
Yeah, I sent a link to my my old manager because he was going to buy that bootleg. I told him, just watch it on YouTube.
We touched earlier briefly on the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Are they not counting the last remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Of course they aren't counting the last remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night because they don't want you to remember.
After we went through all that trouble to review it on here.
Look, at this point, they think that everybody's memory lasts less than 10 years. And in most cases, they're probably right. So they're going to just remake whatever they want to remake, regardless of whether it's been remade in the last 20 years or not.
Speaking of memories and forgetting things, aren't we supposed to get back on these Amityville movies here pretty soon?
We'll get there.
I think Chuck's on to something.
I'm not stopping you. I'm just saying.
All I'm saying is I think Chuck's on to something.
Yeah.
Maybe around April. Maybe around May.
Who can say, right?
I'm serious. We already have ideas for the next few weeks. What can I say? I'm just
next few weeks.
I'm not telling you next few episodes.
Our next 3 episodes are booked, apparently.
Our next 2 episodes are booked, and we probably want to get a couple of other ones in that are like newer Shudder stuff. But after that, sure.
I hope these guys feel special because this set's getting 3 separate episodes. Some of these movies may not deserve their own show, but they're getting it.
I'd like to point out that you think that's only going to happen with this set. There's still 2 more of these, man.
We have to wait for the basic version of the other set.
Give it half a year. Anyway.
Yeah, we don't have to. I mean, we don't have to rush into that one or nothing.
No, exactly. Yeah, we got time for that. But anyway. But no, in terms of Jeepers Creepers, getting back to that, I bought it on DVD. Then I found out everything else about it after I liked it on DVD. and now I never feel ever a need to get it on any other format ever.
Remember when Screen Factory took the heat, when they put the Blu-rays out?
Because they shouldn't have put the Blu-ray out. Like, I'm sorry, the movie's good. Kind of like you mentioned with Clown. Jeepers Creepers is a good movie. But you cannot untie it from its history. You just can't. You can't untie any of it from its history. Any of his movies.
Well, I feel like Part 3 plays up his history quite a bit if you go to undertones and meanings of stuff.
Last I heard, every movie he's ever made plays up his history somehow, undertones and otherwise.
But 3 seems like it goes all in on it. Also, if I remember correctly, Part 3's timeline's way off too. It tries to be super cute, and tie into other stuff, but it's impossible. But either way, that could conclude this episode of Extracast. I'm not sure.
I think it does. What do you guys think?
I'm okay with that.
What a note! What a note to leave on.
Yeah, talking about Victor Salva.
Fuck Victor Salva. That's our note we're leaving it on.
There it is. There's your last thing. Hashtag.
The only thing I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag that. I'll take that. Yeah.
I'll do that. Last thing I have to say is I implore you to go on Shudder and watch After Midnight.
Absolutely. And go on other services like Shudder, or not Shudder, Netflix to watch The Endless, or onto Tubi to watch Resolution.
Resolution
before Endless.
Yes, of course. But I'm just saying in general.
Walmart, pick up his new movie, which is called, it's somewhere over here.
You can probably find the battery on one of the services somewhere.
Yeah. But I don't remember what it's called, but he did come out with a new movie recently, though. Oh, well. It's called something. And it's from Well Go USA. It's from Well Go USA. It just recently came out, like last week. I haven't watched it yet.
That's
because I'm behind, I have
the fucking sword.
I always have things going on,
Chuck's got a girlfriend now, so he's got a.
No, I get you.
It occupies time,
You're telling us this.
Married guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Come back next week. We'll be talking about a giallo, and like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll see you then.